Thank you so much for joining me today on Just Praise Him Radio. I'm your host, Glenda Lomax, and my job is to inspire you to a closer walk with Christ. Now here's the show. Hello, believers. Welcome to the Just Praise Him radio program. I'm your host, Glenda Lomax, and the title of my message today is Decisions to Make. And I'd like to welcome my very special guest, Manyrounds. Welcome to the show, Manyrounds, and thank you so much for making the time to share your wisdom with the listeners today.
Well, thank you, Glenda. I have a symbol of it anyway.
I think y'all will love it more than that. We're going to be talking today about responding to very large events that happen suddenly and unexpectedly, because we all know that that's what's coming. No matter how much or how little you've prepared for what is coming, when the lights all go out and the first bomb drops next to you, when you hear gunfire going past you, when the more and the events start happening in your area, you will have some decisions to make, and you'll have to make them fast. So let's talk about this now, so you'll have some ideas then, because in that kind of situation, panic is going to try and take over. This is why my friend Manyrounds says make fun of coffee, sit down with a pad and paper, and a pen calmly. And when you little thing, got it, be calm. He is a very reassuringly calm person, probably because he is very highly skilled and because he is always preparing. Webster defines panic as a sudden, overpowering fright, acute, extreme anxiety. Another definition of it from the NCI Dictionary of Cancer terms is sudden, extreme anxiety or fear that may cause irrational thoughts or actions. Talk about this. We don't want you to have irrational thoughts or actions when all this stuff starts going down, because it's going to be hard for any of us not to panic, okay? Years ago, during a women's exam, my doctor told me I had a large mass. Nobody wants to hear the word mass during a doctor visit, do they? I had some symptoms and had scheduled that doctor visit to find out why. So I had tried my best to prepare myself for anything, because my mother had uterine cancer in the 90s. But no sooner were those words out of my doctor's mouth than a cold fear took over my entire body. I didn't have time to fight it off. It just took over. I mean, the kind of fear you feel when you're suddenly face to face with extreme danger. The kind of fear I imagine you might feel as a diver if you turned around and a large shark was suddenly right there ready to gobble you up. Before I could stop it, that fear hit me like a wall of bricks. This is the kind of reaction we will all likely face who are still here when the war comes near us, when the events happen near us. That's why we're going to talk about it. How will you overcome the fear and panic trying to take over your mind and actions when the bombs are raining close enough you can see the smoke from them? Close enough that you can feel the ground shake, hear the bullets whiz by. And you ever heard a bullet whiz by your head? I have, and it was a very unsettling sound, and that's when it get mildly. Have you thought about and prepared mentally as much as possible for all the death that you will see if you are here? No one wants to think about seeing death, but that is a lot of what scares people who fight in wars. We are not accustomed to seeing death in countries like America. God blessed our country for so many years that we didn't have to face what many others have. All the more reason to think about this now. There will be much death from the war. And there will also be natural death. Many will die of heart attacks, lack, or suicide. Many will die because they can no longer get the life-saving medicines that they need. Many will be killed by people who have just gone rogue and are doing whatever they want to, whatever they want to do, because they realize it's human and nobody's going to stop them. We will see those too. Many will die because they lost their minds and just wandered the streets. Little help will be available of any kind at some point, and I believe that is the time the Lord mentioned to me when He was ever write the healing campaign. He said it would be a big help in a time coming when there would be little medical help available. Being able to stay calm and mentally prepared for anything in that time will be a tremendous benefit. So I'm not trying to get you in a negative frame of mind, but these things are coming whether you want them to or not, whether any of us want them to or not. And it will be a lot easier to face them if you give thought to them now when you can stay calm than if you just try to face them all at once with no preparation at all. Because waiting until the last minute is going to make you more likely to not survive them. I believe my job is to help equip you for what is coming. That's why I talk about it so much. I don't relish thinking about all that horror either because, I see it often enough. But I don't really have a choice. It comes with my job, which I'm happy to do for the kingdom of God and to help you however I can. So I want you to think about this. Who or what do you trust to take care of you in this kind of situation? Proverbs 5-7, it says, trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not inside thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Be not wise in thine own eyes. Fear the Lord, and depart from evil. So, Manyrounds, I want to ask you some questions.
Okay.
Because you have so much experience. And I know you've been through at least one big earthquake out in LA. Have you ever experienced the kind of panic reaction a bomb attack brings? Like when the lights all go out and the bombs start to drop. We all know that that's what's coming, and we all know it will come in the night, at least to America. Are any of us really ready? What are your thoughts?
Well, to answer that question about have I ever, no, I have never personally. But I've spoken to people that have experienced some pretty heavy, war type of situations when they were in World War II. And, they didn't really like to talk about it too much. And the reason being because it is pretty grim. And they were just memories that they would just as soon not dredge up back into their own minds, really, because they had to initially endure it and then cope with it afterwards and try to, come back to
trying to heal from the trauma.
Yeah, try to come back to civilian world and make it cool.
It's got to be tough, too.
Yeah, well, our troops are going through that right now because of some of the things they saw and some of the things that they did and they were ordered to do that they probably didn't agree with deep down, but they were given these orders and they had to follow through with them under threat of court martial or whatever. But after a while, it probably started eating on them, and it hasn't gone away yet. And to anybody that's a combat vet from like the most recent wars in Afghanistan and Iraq and such, the only way that you can find the healing you need is through the Lord, and they'll pump you with drugs and they'll send you to psychiatric counseling and all this other garbage. But when it comes down to healing what's going on with your soul, the only way you're going to get that fixed is by the one who made your soul. And I don't know where all that came from just now, but it's just
something I needed to hear.
It's just it's just the truth, And but I've seen some things. I've experienced some pretty nasty stuff, but there's nothing to compare to what we're going to be experiencing and what we're going to be going through. And it's a dire thing, and the Lord in His mercy has been warning His people about this for years, and not a high percentage of those folks really want to hear it or listen about it. And it's we're like the watchman on the wall screaming out that there's a lion in the camp. We better do something about it, and nobody wants to hear about it. And this lion is going to eat them if they don't watch out for it or do something to prepare for it.
So true.
And I was thinking earlier that the fact that, you felt on your heart to do this podcast right now, is a telling thing, because to me, it hit me like, well, that means that something is probably right on deck about to really come down. And I've been,
Yeah, that's a really good point. I hadn't even thought about that.
and a lot of us have been feeling that, and in our dreams or in prayer, the Lord will drop and download something on you, and he'll just tell you straight up, and you'll wonder, what does that mean? You pray about it some more, and then clarification comes, later in some other way, maybe, but it's just, you just know, you just have a knowing. So, for folks, that maybe walking with the Lord, but not totally, committed, the only thing that's really going to help us get through this is our closeness to Him. And that's the bottom line. I mean, repent and then just seek Him out as much as you can while you still have time. And read that word as much as you can while you still have time, because pretty soon they're gonna ban the Bible. They're gonna persecute us. I mean, something's gonna happen over there in Israel. I don't exactly know what it is, but when it happens, the people over here in America are going to really hate their situation with Israel, and they're going to blame the Jews, and they're going to blame us. And we're going to be pariah.
I know that in the end, we're going to be persecuted along with them.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot like when the Holocaust happened.
And they're going to come hunting for us. So, that's something to keep in mind, and that's something the Lord has warned us about too. And so you have to just kind of take that in and ask the Lord to help you, prepare your soul for that. But also, the things that we take for granted right now, everybody does, clean water.
Yeah.
Being able to take a bath,
water,
take a shower, your hygiene. I mean, just there's simple little things you just don't think about every day. They're going to be taken from us. And they're going to be a lot more of a rare occasion for us to enjoy that blessing than it would have been, or it is right now. And that's something that we're going to all have to cope with too, is the hardship of it all, because it's going to be hard. Let's get that straight in your mind right now, that the world we're going to be living in very soon is going to be completely different than the one we're in right now. And there are a lot of folks that are in this country right now that are beginning to go through some serious hardship because the economy is so in such dire straits, regardless of what they say on the news. You look at the people that are living on the sidewalk and something's wrong. It's like there shouldn't be that many people that, a couple of years ago were living in a 3-bedroom house, but they're not anymore. And
that would be an awful feeling.
We may very well be evicted too. I don't know. And you're going to have to mentally be able to cope with that. And the only way that I know that I'm going to be able to cope with it is my closeness with Jesus Christ. And that's the bottom line. No matter what happens, I'm going to be relying heavily on that.
Amen. Let me ask you something. I've known you since 2009 or 2010. You are the calmest, least fearful person that I've ever met. How do you personally fight fear when it comes at you? And how do you suggest that people fight that?
Well,
because I believe you've cornered the market on that. And given you've got a lot of skills that a lot of the rest of us don't have as far as sharpshooting and things like that, but I think it's more than that.
Well, I pray a lot, and I ask God to give me strength, because I know even with all the stuff I know and all the training I've had, and however gifted the Lord has given me gifts, I realized, years ago, sitting out in the desert, looking at a campfire, that I did not have what it was going to take to survive all this. I just knew it. I knew I never would. And I knew that the only way I was going to get through any of it was it's only if God led me through the minefield of it all. Because He knows where all the mines are, and I don't.
That's a good way to put that. You're right. Absolutely right.
He's got the map, and he just sort of lays out my life in order so I can avoid some of those pitfalls. And I'm like, wow, it's like, gosh, who would not want to follow a captain like that?
Right.
Right. Great. So, but
I have to agree.
In like, I've been through some tight situations before, and it's like the first thing that comes to my mind, is out of like, I don't want to think about myself. I want to think about the other folks that are involved, okay, first, because they're going to need help.
I agree.
And, I read in a book a long time ago. It wasn't the Bible, but it was a novel called Gates of Fire. And there was an old NCO talking to a younger private, and it stuck with me what he said. And he asked his private, he said, what is the opposite of fear? And I was like, well, that'd be something I want to know.
Has to be faith.
Well, it's love. The opposite of fear is love. Because
love casts out fear.
Right. Because, that's what gives a mom the guts to go drag herself under a car to pull her kid out from under it. Or to get
you are right.
Or to throw somebody that's in the way of a vehicle coming down the road out of the way, and you take the hit. That, or somebody in combat, to go and jump on a grenade.
Well, the guy that was at the firefighter that jumped on his family to protect them.
Right.
And the bullets started flying.
That's exactly. That's a perfect example. That guy. God bless that guy.
Oh, I know. That broke my heart for his family. But wow, what amazing.
Yeah. And
amazing.
That's what I'm talking about. That's the kind of. There's going to be a lot of bad stuff coming down, and there's going to be a lot of these things, but there's going to be a lot of exploits.
They'll see the worst in people if you're still here, but think also maybe the best in people, and that's when God's glory will shine the brightest, when it's the darkest.
That's right.
Because that's when He will really show up, because that's when the unbelievers are going to be watching the closest, and He's going to go, "Hey guys, guess what? I'm real."
That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah,
the panic reaction. I'm trying to remember. The only time I can remember that I had the panic reaction was that time at the doctor's office, because I'd looked down the barrel of a loaded shotgun, and I've had a bullet fly past my head and been threatened with death and everything else, but I don't remember ever having that panic except that one time. But I've never been near where a bomb went off either.
Yeah.
I've never gotten, so I think it's real hard for us to comprehend what it will be like.
Well, each one of us will react.
Times when I thought something had happened to somebody I loved, I'll panic through that. I will panic over. And that you do panic, and it's immediate. Mm-hmm. So maybe it's similar to that. I don't know. I know you're retired from the military, and you're also in a major earthquake out in Los Angeles years ago. Have you ever been in a situation where you saw a lot of death, or have you talked to someone who has? I think that is one of the things that causes PTSD in veterans, and you could tell us if that's true or not. I never have personally seen much death. The only deaths I witnessed were people I loved, when they were at their bedside and they passed away. I was with my mom when she passed, and I was at my husband's bedside when he passed. But I've never witnessed death like on a massive scale. I would think the effect of that on somebody would be unimaginable. I don't even know how we should handle that.
So
I've seen a lot of it.
I've seen some, and again, it's like this. It's you make a choice afterwards. How are you going to deal with that person? And you can either go down the dark road, or you can stay on the path to learn something from it, and to gain something from it. That there's a reason why it happened. You may not understand the why of it, or anything. But I know God enough to know I know that He's going to teach me something at the other end of it. You know,
That's true.
and I'm trusting Him on that. And so, even though it may be such a terrible, treacherous thing that happens, my first instinct is going to be to run to Him and lay at His feet and go, please, God, help me understand, help me cope with this, because otherwise it's going to kill me. You know,
That is a very good point.
I know.
I agree with you so much on that.
And I know He's promised us so many promises. And one of those promises was He was always going to be with us, no matter what. No matter what, right to the very end. I mean, there's been Christians in the past, and right this very moment probably, that are dying for their faith in Christ, and they're saying, "I will not deny you, Lord." Even if they sleep right now, I'm not going to deny it. And as far as major, I was at one time. I was in Germany. I was stationed there for a while, and I was training in the Black Forest, and we had liberty for a couple of days while we were over there. And one of the places, I was in a vehicle. I wasn't driving, but I was with some other folks, some of my own squad members, and platoon members, and there was about 5 of us, I guess. And we stopped off at Dachau, which was a concentration camp. Near Munich, I think. And, I really didn't want to go, but I was with these guys, and they wanted to see it. And I was like, okay. So I went in, I walked in with them, and I just sort of hung back. And they had like an administration building. Now, this was the original building that was there when all this was going on in World War II. And it was made out of wood, and it looked like a long barracks. And the floor was old, the walls were old. The patina on everything was from that era. This was I was there in like 1998, I think it was. Anyway, so this is 50 years later. It was 40 years later, and I got the feel of the place right then, and there was like a stairway that went down and outside towards the locations of the existing barracks that were there in World War II, but they're no longer there, and they were just the outside perimeter foundations were left, and they put these rocks, just round river rocks, like small, like about 2 inches in diameter, these round rocks all throughout inside these foundations. So they were all leveled out with these rocks. And there was probably about 20 or 30 of these barracks, And then on the other end, furthest away from the administration building, were the ovens. And and the guys wanted to go see these ovens, they
wanted to go see those?
Yeah, they were, I just was like, I'm not going. You guys go right ahead. I know what's inside those.
Oh, that would be,
I don't need to go. Yeah, I mean, come on. I don't need to go see that. And so I waited out there on those rocks. I was sitting on the edge of a foundation of one of those barracks. And so I waited for those guys. And I was just looking around, and I was looking around, and I could feel, it's like hallowed ground in a way. It's something happened there that should never have happened. And when it's like an Indian burial ground, it's like
the Alamo was when I was to the Alamo. When you step inside, it's a lot smaller than I thought, but I stepped inside, and there was this sacredness there that I've never felt any place except in a church.
Yeah. It was
the most amazing things. I never felt that any place that I.
No, but I could sense you know, I could sense the level of, it's hard to put a word on it, what it is, but it's like a grief and like the blood crying up from the ground. That's what it's like.
Oh,
it's like the blood crying still to this day. It's like you can feel it. I mean, I knew the Lord, I knew the Lord then, and I was like,
wow. I never even thought about it being, oh, that is amazing.
And it just hit me just now. I mean, I didn't catch that until just now, but anyway, that's the sense I got. And it was like, it was very hollow to me. I just felt very, like, it's hard to explain, but I just was like very respectful of everything there and everything. And
oh yeah, that.
I picked up 3 of the pebbles, the rocks. Okay, and I knew some Jewish people back home.
Mm-hmm.
So I kept them. Then I took them home. I gave them to the older grandfather.
Oh, wow.
I just felt led to do it. So, but that kind of thing is going to be here. We are going to live that. We're going to live that.
Yeah.
And you really need to seek the Lord about helping with that, because it's going to be a very difficult thing. We're going to lose so many fellow Americans on such a grand scale that it's never happened, I don't think, in the history of the world. What's going to happen here? I mean,
you may be right.
Japan.
God has made it very clear his displeasure.
Yeah.
With America in the way she has turned away from him. And when he says, I'm going to take you down, he's going to take you down.
He's well, I mean, he warned, and then it's time, and that's it. So, but even so, we're going to have to mentally handle that somehow. And it's like that old sergeant told that young private, what is going to overcome that? What is going to overcome that? The only thing that I know that's going to overcome that is God's love through us to them. We're going to be out there comforting people. We're going to be out there helping people get bandits done. There's going to be a lot of blind people. There's going to be a lot of burned people. There's going to be a lot of injured little ones, young ones, kids. I mean, it's going to be the worst Holocaust that's ever occurred on Earth, outside the flood, maybe. And it's like we're going to have to rise to the occasion and do the best we can. And that's where, like, that initial, fear monkey that wants to jump on your back and tell you lies all day long, whisper in your ear, you're going to have to tell him to go pound sand, dude, because the Lord Jesus Christ told me I work for him.
Amen. Amen.
I work for him.
Well said.
And he's got work for me to do, even in this environment, to the gates of hell.
Well said.
He's my gas. If he sends me there, then there I go. That's
right. We serve at his pleasure, whether the devil likes it or not, and he never likes it. So
no. And I mean, that's I thought about it. I thought, where else am I going to go? Who else am I going to follow? There has no.
Where are we going to go, Lord? That's what Peter, was it Peter that said that? Where are we going to go?
Yeah.
You have the words of life.
Yep. And by gosh,
he can protect you through anything. He can protect us through anything. He protected the 3 Hebrew men. So I want to introduce y'all to Manyrounds' wife, which I've never had the privilege of having on the podcast before. Her name is Grace. And she has so much wisdom and so much common sense. I wanted to bring her on tonight to talk about what we were talking about earlier, because she has some really good ideas about things to do now, not wait, that don't require having rooms to store food and things like that. So, Grace, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for making time. Jeez, because I know, with having children to take care of and stuff, that's a hard thing to make time for anything.
Oh, yeah.
Not only make time to complete a thought, with the little ones.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, thank you for having me on. But yeah, definitely hard to find a minute, but I'm glad to be on and talking about this because it's definitely important, something that people should know.
I agree. So we were talking earlier about, what the Manyrounds and I were talking about on the show about being prepared for that moment when panic is going to try to take over, when everything starts going down, whether it's when the war starts or when an event happens. And he has been through, he was in the big earthquake out in LA and stuff like that. I'm not sure what you've gone through. Have you ever been in a situation like that where it's just panic tried to take over?
Not necessarily that kind of situation, no. I've definitely, had my little share of life's moments like everybody has where it's a fight or flight and, you're wondering what to do, but nothing like a major earthquake or anything, not yet. So,
me neither for that.
Yeah.
So you were talking about things that, we should do now. Please tell the listeners what you were talking about.
Yeah. So I was, me and Glenda were talking earlier just about what we can do just to prepare. And I just was mentioning that, I think first of all, getting yourself organized, getting your house organized. Yes. I was telling her, with so many kids right now, it's chaos here and I got to get everything organized to where I know where everything is.
Yeah. And the fact that probably, or very possibly at the beginning of something like that, the power could go out.
Yes.
So you can be in the dark.
Absolutely. So, if power goes out,
I know about see. I'm sorry, keep interrupting you. I don't know about other people, but it's hard enough for me to find my stuff with the lights on. How about y'all?
Yeah, that's where we're at right now. So, definitely need to figure out how to get everything organized. That's definitely a big thing with Manyrounds is that he wants to know where his flashlight is. So that's a thing to know too, is to make sure you get a flashlight, couple flashlights, make sure you know where they are, make sure you can find them in the dark.
Mine's in the truck. That's not going to help. Yeah. No, buying it on. I have all the time. One thing that really helped me was when I bought a little headgear light. It's on the elastic strap. You put it on your head because whatever direction you turn your head on, that's where your light shines.
That would super
helpful in the dark.
Yes, that would be perfect. So batteries on top of that. So flashlight, make sure you got extra batteries. Which is, the flashlight is something that there's a lot of things I never thought about until I got with him. But the flashlight was really handy. More than one of the things.
Yeah, a whole train. You could probably pass his whole course now at this point.
Yeah. And it definitely just things that, I think when you're first coming into this whole preparedness mindset, you're kind of like, really, you need that? But then you're like, wow, this is actually kind of nice that you have this. So, definitely a flashlight was something that I use more every day. I said, can I see your flashlight? So, definitely getting a flashlight, making sure you know where it's at. Just getting yourself organized so you know where things are. Thinking about it now because you're not going to be able to think then. And, so have everything in a place where you know where it is. We were talking earlier about your first aid stuff, go to Walmart. And if you don't, just get first aid. They they got different boxes to pick from. If you don't have a lot of extra money to spend on all the extras, just go get a basic box. If nothing else, at least you have something. And, keep one in your car. In your house, if you can afford multiple, then keep them in your house, in your car,
Even gauze and medical tape and some Band-Aids and some ointment and something to sterilize with peroxide or alcohol is better than nothing.
Absolutely.
Something is always better than nothing. So whatever you have is going to be better than having nothing because you may be injured. Somebody in your family could be injured. Or you may come upon injured people that you want to help.
Right.
And
I think that sometimes, like you were saying, something is better than nothing. I think a lot of times, You know, we look at so many other people that have so much and they're really prepared. They have all this stuff. And we just kind of think if I can't be at that point, then I might as well not even get anything. And it's just not true. Anything is better than nothing. So it will come in handy somehow.
Just have whatever you can have. And everybody has usually at least a few things around the house that, you know, will work for that. So maybe on your list, you want to put those together, you know, in an area where you can find them. Like I used to have all my medical stuff in a, you know, I had this duffel bag because I'm still traveling right now. I have this duffel bag and I have all my extra over-the-counter medicines and stuff like that because I don't take really much prescription medicine. I use over-the-counter stuff. But I have all my extra stuff for different kind of ailments. Like I have all my bandages and ointment in one big baggie and I have that marked for cuts and scrapes. And then I have another one that's for, you know, sinus problems or headaches or whatever. And I have those and I have them organized where I can grab what I need out of there. But if you have your things where you can find them and then put on your list where they are, that will help you in that time, especially since you will probably be groping in the dark or with flashlight.
Absolutely.
Because if the bombs start hitting close to your house and you got to get out, it's better to have stuff with you that, you know, if you're going to be camping outside, whatever you have is going to help you better than nothing is going to help you.
Exactly. I mean, you just never know what's going to happen. I mean, you could just trip and scrape yourself up. At least then you got your first aid kit. It might not even be related to the bomb, you know?
So,
just
you need that every day anyway. So
exactly. So make a list of not only things that you're going to need in that time, but, you know, like you said, your medications, you know, first aid, your glasses, you know, whatever you're going to need, your flashlight, water, have a list, and then have a list of things you are going to need to do. So you have your list of things you're going to need, but then, you know, write down a list of the things you're going to like grab the cat or put the cat in the cat box or, you know, get your first aid out of the closet, like things that seem like common sense, like, well, yeah, obviously I'm going to go get that when that happens, but you're not going to be thinking that if you're in a panicked mode. You're not going to be thinking.
You're not, exactly. Which is the whole reason we want. And I don't know why the Lord said this was this week's podcast. I was working on a completely different podcast. So I don't know if something's going to happen or somebody just needs to hear this now. I don't know. But
I think
it is very difficult to think when you're in panic.
Yeah.
I mean, everything just goes out the window and that's not going to help you.
Oh, no. I mean, I've seen so many people in situations that, you know, are far less scary than bombs going off that you can't think at all in those moments. They're just gone. And it's just, you know, you can't talk to them and all that. So having a list, put the list up on your fridge or somewhere where you can easily see it. Just keep it there, just so you have it there. Laminate it if you need to. Just, you know, put it in a baggie or something so it doesn't get wet.
Good thought.
You know, but, you know, that's not even something that I had thought about even before we talked. It kind of just came to me when we were talking because, you know, I'm going to need that with the kids and any panic. I'm going to need something to look at that's logical, something I wrote down when I was not freaking out. And, you know, because I forget things when
if you take medications, you need to know where those are and be able to grab and not forget to get them. But also, if you're bugging out, even if you don't take medications, you may need some over-the-counter things like aspirin, Tylenol, things like that. Yeah, you're still going to need those things if you're wherever you are, or if you're helping other people, whatever. You will still need those same kind of things.
Yeah, it might be
helpful to be able to find.
Get a couple extra of those and put them in a specified area, aside from the ones that you're using on you know, in everyday life. Because, you know, what if you've got a bottle you're using and it's half empty? You don't realize that till you need to go. And it's got like 3 left in it, you know? So maybe keep a separate over-the-counter medications in, like, stocked up in a certain, wherever you have your first aid stuff, so that you don't have to worry about that being out and being like, oh, shoot. So
because you may or may not be able to get more under conditions like that. We don't know.
Right.
Yeah, and the other thing, speaking of getting more, you probably need to have some cash on hand.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
It varies. It varies, you know, what people say, how much you should have on hand. I don't like to keep cash at all, so.
That's a good point, though, because
it won't work. If there's no electricity, debit cards and gas cards aren't going to work.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, and if you're needing to buy from just person to person, you're not going to have, you know, your card and all that kind of stuff. I mean, yeah, that's a good point because, you know, I remember one point just years ago where I was like, oh, I don't understand how people never have cash on them. And I find myself all the time now not having catch all. Just be careful the things you say. I tell you, the Lord comes back and he's like, really?
He's just going to show you what it's like.
Exactly.
He does.
He's like, yeah, you remember when you said that?
That is funny.
Definitely.
Reading glasses for people our age, not your age because you're young, but my age, reading glasses.
Yes.
Paper maps of any place that you might need to go. Yeah, paper maps. And a lot of people don't have paper maps because they rely on GPS. Well, GPS, I don't think will be working necessarily when all this goes down.
Well,
I keep paper maps as a backup just because I'm paranoid about that. But
it's such a wise idea though, because I mean, Manyrounds goes and get maps, whenever he can, whether it's from Walmart or you were saying like travel centers and things like that.
Travel centers in every state usually give them away free. And if you're going to visit a certain big city, most of the time you can request a street map for free of that city. So you can get a lot of those resources free and you can get them ahead of time if you go and request them now.
Yeah, because I mean, if you try to go get them then, I guarantee they're not going to be there. So
and that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen.
But AAA has a lot too.
Yeah, phone numbers and addresses. I don't know if the phones will be working, but addresses, like if you're going to try to make it to somewhere where your family is or something.
Yes.
If we have that in our GPS or in our phone, we don't necessarily memorize the addresses, do we?
No.
Maybe you know the way there and maybe you don't, but that would be a good thing to have because you don't want to find out you need it when you can't get it.
Oh, yeah, that would be perfect because, I mean, and, if power is out, your phone's going to die at some point and you're not going to have that phone number or that address exactly. So you're not going to be able to get it.
A power bank from Amazon or Walmart is a battery that you can plug your phone into numerous times and charge it up. I bought one about 5 years ago when I lived in Arkansas. It's still at 100% charge. It don't lose its charge. It's an amazing thing. It's about the size of a cell phone. It's called a power bank. You can plug other things into it too. It's primarily made to, keep your phone charged if you're hiking or something, but that's a good thing to have. I have one just because I live so many places that have storms that make the power go out.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. Great idea. I actually should go get one of those. I think I have used somebody's before. And I remember thinking, what a great idea that was. So definitely something to charge your phone that does not require you to plug it into the wall.
Yeah. It's hard for us to imagine being without power. I guess you could, was it Manyrounds that said one time, turn up the lights and sit there for 20 minutes, keep no power on, and just, you'll think of a whole lot of things.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, really?
I think because Sam said that years ago. Yeah, I thought, that's so smart.
I really don't, because
if you're in a storm and your lights go out for 13 hours, like mine did one time in Princeton, you think of a lot of stuff. The first one I was thinking about was coffee because I just got out of bed and I could not make any coffee and I was not happy. And it's not worse. Summer in the South, y'all, we can put a mason jar full of water outside and we can make coffee without any power. But most places we can't do that. We can get that water hot now.
Yeah. Yeah, and Manyrounds has a propane stove burner, so it's like 2-burner little stove, and he uses that. Those are sure the power goes out or anything like that to make the coffee and whatever else we need to make. So those are nice to have.
Yeah, those are very nice to have. I had one at one time now.
Yeah, I mean, where we're at now is all the appliances are electric, so we're working on trying to get alternate methods there because we are used to where we were used to having a gas stove and gas dryer and all that kind of stuff. And then it's weird being in a place where when the power goes out you can't
everything stops. Yeah.
So we're looking into getting we have a wood stove, so he's gonna hook that up and then just work on different things like that because I mean you just don't. And it's just so funny how different life is now as opposed to, I don't know, 100 years ago, I mean, it's just incredible how far everything's come. But at the same time, and now we've lost touch with how to function without, power.
That is so true. We're so used to all having all these conveniences. So then when they're gone, then what?
I mean, that just kills me about a lot of people is because people rely, I mean, I rely on it heavily, but I'm not, I'm not ignorant to what's going to happen once that goes out, that it's not going to be there all the time. And,
Yeah.
I think,
You know how to do it other ways, because I've seen you do things and you know how to do a lot of things, but not everybody does.
right, right. And I mean, I think a lot of people just don't think about it too. They just have not had that happen. Maybe people watching, I'm sure there's a couple people that come on and are not quite there believing that this is all going to come down. But, even if they don't believe this is going to happen this way, the power is not always on. You've seen a storm come on. It takes 2 seconds for that to be gone. So,
yeah, that is the truth. And you know what? Us not wanting it to happen is not going to stop it from coming, because God has ordained it.
Exactly.
He's ordained it.
Yeah. And
I wish, along with everybody else, this was not, our reality, but it is our reality. So all we can do is just do the best we can with it.
And it really doesn't hurt to just to educate yourself on how to care for yourself and prepare in case that does not. It's not going to hurt you to do that.
Yes.
If nothing else, a lot of new methods. That's the thing, is it doesn't sting. You'll be smarter for it. You'll know how to take care. You'll feel a lot more confident if you know that you can do a couple things. You'll feel more confident just having a couple candles in your house in case the lights go off.
Yeah. So. Yeah, you don't necessarily have to learn to make them, but if you have a few red, it will sure help you when a storm hits. I've had to drag all the candles out many times.
Exactly. So, it's really important to learn how to do those. And like you said, paper maps, things like that, back to the way things used to be. There's a reason why people thrived in their own way back when things were that way. They didn't need electricity, and we can do the same thing, And we don't need to be 100% self-sufficient homesteaders, train with our neighbors
to wear a raccoon hat or anything like that. But we just help. But we can get by. Yeah, we can get by. There's going to be a lot of people that are not going to know how to get by, but we can do a few basic things that will make that time at least a little less scary.
Right.
If we've thought ahead of time, okay, if you bug out, don't forget to take these things. Or I don't know, when something like that comes, how many people can or will stay in their homes where they live. I don't really know. I've never been through a war or anything like that, so I don't know.
Yeah, we were talking earlier about, we don't really know how exactly everything's going to go down. We know certain events that we're expecting to happen, but as far as the order in which they're going to take place, we don't really know. So, I think sometimes people are assuming we're going to hear something about, bombs coming or this and that, but they could just as easily cut the power and then there's no communication going on at all. You don't know what's going on in these lights.
And the other thing is, the Lord has told us this war will come without warning or announcement. It will just happen.
Yeah.
And he said that it would, basically what he's told us is we'll basically go to bed one night and it'll happen. We're going to think it's like tonight, like any other night, we're just going to get ready and go to bed and think everything's going to be normal tomorrow. And whatever day that next day is, we're going to wake up and it's going to be anything but.
Right. And so that's what I think we need to be all thinking about. I mean, I need to go and write a list now and do what I just said. Do you ever
I know
talk about something and the Lord's just telling you as you're talking and you're like, that's a good point. That's a good point. I know it's funny about what I need to do. But yeah, this is the time to think about it when you're in a calm state and you can think logically and, think about what are you going to do if the first thing that happens is, like you said, you go to sleep, you wake up in the morning, you have no power, you don't know what's going on, you're not hearing anything about what's going on. Then you start hearing booms everywhere, or your neighbors are out in the street and they're confused. You're all confused. Write down what you know now you need to do in that instance, So make sure, like you said, phone numbers, addresses,
whatever you even might will put it in just a little spiral notebook or something.
Maybe put
a backpack, stick a backpack with it, because you may have to bug out.
Right.
Yeah, you may live in an apartment building and it may get hit. We don't know what's coming.
Maybe
it'll be different for each person, but
yeah, and maybe like you said with pets too. Maybe stock up pet food.
Yeah.
Not stocked up so much as keep some in a baggie somewhere.
And have some. Yeah. Have some kibble in a baggie or something so your pets don't starve. I carry a pet safe first aid kit in my truck because my pets always travel when I travel. They come with me.
That's definitely something that I think can be easy.
It's a just in case thing that when you need one, you're not gonna be able to just run over and get one from the convenience store. So
Right. Yeah, that's going to be chaos in the stores. You're not going to want to go into.
Yeah.
So if you can just have something to get you by in the car until you can figure out what's going on, at least you're.
I imagine a lot of the store owners will want to be out with their families and they'll just shut down.
Right. I mean, so yeah, I mean, just you don't want your cat eating your car seats, so just put something in there, and because these are just things you're not going to think about when that happens.
Leashes and collars and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You can, when you buy the new one, put the old one in there or do something, but have something.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on that.
Well, that's very good advice. Thank you so much for taking the time, because I know you don't have a lot of time. I've known you for 2 years now? A couple of years? 3 years?
Goodness, I think it's been about 3 years.
Since 2021. About 3 years since 2021. So
goes fast.
you have a lot of wisdom and a lot of common sense.
Oh, I pray to the Lord for it every day. I'm like, please, tell me what to do. Sound like so. But I'm glad. Thank you for having me on, and I hope this helps somebody out there.
It will. It will help a lot of people. Thank you. Well, that's all I have for y'all this week. Thanks for listening. Jesus bless you. Y'all have a great week.
Thank you so much for tuning in today to Just Praise Him Radio, sponsored by the friends and supporters of JPH. You can contact me by mail at my new address, Glenda Lomax, JPH Inc., P.O. Box 854, Altus, that's Altus, Oklahoma 73522, or by email at jphtoday@gmail.com. Don't forget to visit the website for prophetic updates at wingsofprophecy.blogspot.com. JPH is not affiliated with any nonprofit organization, church, or denomination.